What is going on today, ladies and gentlemen? Today it is finally time for the long-awaited return of me. I got myself a little battle scar here, you know, kind of happens when you go to a place that doesn't clean their mats. But anyways, today we are going to be ranking every D1 wrestling team in the Big Ten Conference on how much aura they have, and I think this list will surprise you. And if you guys have a different opinion, please leave it in the comments down below. I read every one. I love you guys, and let's get this started, shall we? Alright, first up on the chopping block is Penn State. Now, you guys accuse me of hating Penn State. You know, I hear it, I see it in the comments. I just want to say, that's not true. I actually like Penn State a lot. I like a lot of their guys.
Pause.
However, there is just a couple things that are stopping me from rating them in high aura. One, they kind of have a culture of, if you win enough titles for me, I'll sweep anything under the rug for you. Case in point, Carter Starachi. Need I say more?
Is that dick good? Yes, kid. How good is that dick? Oh, how good?
Point number two, every time there's this big 1 versus 2, like champion versus number 1 contender matchup, whether it's Ohio State or Nebraska, every single time the opposing team just seems to magically get hit by some fucking moon magic, and everybody's depowered, everybody's fucking sick and injured and not wrestling, and, you know, Penn State just gets a free wash. I understand why that happens, obviously. You can't really give your guys the toughest matchup of their career 2 weeks before the national championship. But still, you know, it's just upsetting to see, and I want to see a nice close match between Penn State and the number 1 contender next season. You know, a man can dream, right? With that being said, Penn State is going at the very high end of the medium aura.
Peter, what are you doing? Crack?
Next up on the list is the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, the Iowa Hawkeyes are the perennial little brother program of Penn State. You know, they were dominant once, now they just suck. Now, the Brands brothers are kind of just tearing down everything they've built up over the past however many years. And, you know, it's just upsetting to see. Every year is kind of the same, too. Everybody's talking about, oh my god, this is the year. This is the year that Iowa comes back. This is the year that they can challenge Penn State. And then they'll somehow figure out a way to, like, lose to Minnesota. And that, you know what? There's nothing really to say about that. That is low aura right there.
There is no passion, there is no vision, there is no aggression.
Speaking of, next up we got Minnesota. And let me tell you, as a Minnesota sports fan, the Gophers absolutely live up to the fucking legacy that every other Minnesota sports team has put up so far. The entire preseason, you just get fed all of this information about, like, oh my god, Minnesota, they're going to be so good this year, they're going to be title contenders. And you see that they signed, like, a couple high-profile guys from other schools, a couple All-Americans, and you're like, oh my god, this is going to be the year. And then they thank you for your support by being mid as hell. I am of the opinion that if any other lesser school in the Big Ten had the resources and coaching that Minnesota had, they would be automatic title contenders. I don't know, it's hard, it's tough being a Gopher fan, but you know, you just gotta stand with it, I guess. With that being said, Minnesota gets negative aura, as much as it hurts me to say.
Brother, may I have some oats?
Moving on to a slightly more positive note, on the other side of the coin, we have Wisconsin Badgers. Now, I made a video about them previously saying how their program's kind of going downhill. They're losing a bunch of their good guys, and you know what? The entire program was just kind of a sinking ship that everybody wants to avoid like a wildfire. However, once again, like what I said with Minnesota, I think that if they had half of the resources that we have, they would be a great team. You know what? Minnesota and Wisconsin remind me of like two brothers. Like Minnesota was the brother that inherited all the wealth, but he blew it all in the fucking casino the same night. And Wisconsin is the brother that got kicked out at 18, but like, you know, built himself up. You know, he's doing okay for himself. He's not doing great, but you know what? He's surviving. And that's just kind of the situation I see here, is like we have so much funding, so many more resources than they do, and we just don't do anything with it. Like, I think it's just a mentality thing. I've seen the way Minnesota guys wrestle sometimes, and it pisses me off.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, Daggett. Barton Taylor. There's your national champion. Takes him to his back and pins him.
With that being said, I think Wisconsin wrestling is actually going in the high tier because, you know what? At the end of the day, Wisconsin wrestling is always scrappy with what they have, and they're always dangerous. They're not exactly the greatest team, so I'm going to put them in medium aura, but you know what? I'm going to put them sure as hell a lot higher than Minnesota.
We wouldn't happen to be invading Iran today, would we?
Next up, we got Ohio State. Now, Ohio State is that school, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Shopping for your next car?
shut the fuck. Like, in the Big Ten, Ohio State is like the team behind Penn State. And in all honesty, it reminds me a lot of Penn State, just without all the rape allegations. So That being said, I think Ohio State is honestly our first high aura school. You know, like, not a whole lot of sexual abuse scandals, not a whole lot of theft, and overall just a really solid program. You know what? I can't really knock them.
He was whipping up shit in a kettle, boiling shit. Actual shit, like boiling poo.
Next up, Northwestern. Holy shit, what a dumpster fire of a program. I don't even know what's going so wrong with them for them to be in this state that they are in, but like, it just makes you a little sad. Like, I think they might genuinely be bottom 10 programs in the entire country. It'd be one thing if they, like, you know, kept to themselves like a lot of the other lower tier schools, but no, they send all of their best guys over to other schools just for them to immediately turn around and start performing like shit. Case in point, Chris Cannon, all that hype, and for what? There's a reason I dedicated an entire separate tier for Northwestern, and there's really nothing worse than them at this point.
What do you mean I'm not allowed in the Walmart?
Indiana, on a slightly higher note, I regard Indiana pretty highly, actually. I think that they're one of the more underrated programs, and I think that in terms of potential and like what they could do in the near future with the coaching they have and the kind of mindset they have, I've seen good things come from Indiana, and if we have learned anything from, you know, their football team, I think that they are a school that's capable of making a good comeback. And you know what, I have high hopes for them. They're not quite there yet, so I can't put them in high aura, but I'm putting Indiana in medium aura for sure. You know, they do a lot with what they have, and I think that they're capable of growth.
2 sweet teas and what else?
100 dicks.
Next up, Maryland. You know, kind of another throwaway school, if I'm being honest. I mean, Nicolas Rivera's transferring there, so there's got to be something worth it, right? Automatically, that puts them above Minnesota. Like, I think they're probably going to join Iowa in the low tier just because, you know, there's not really a whole lot to note for them. But you know what? They get a solid placing in the middle of the list. It's okay.
Because, you know, in high school, they used to call me Basher because I used to bash people's heads in the lockers.
Next up, Nebraska. Once again, Nebraska is just one of those teams that's always solid. The guys there are also just absolute class acts. Like, I don't think I've ever rooted against a Nebraska wrestler before. I honestly think that there's pretty much nothing wrong with Nebraska as a school. The only thing I hate about them is Antrell Taylor, but like, I think everybody just hates him, you know, like, for good reason too. He's a stalling machine. But in terms of where I'd put Nebraska, I think I'd have to put it I think I'd honestly have to put it, you know, next to Ohio State. They're a high aura team, and you know, anybody that's signed with them, you look at them and you're like, oh, okay, like, you are a great wrestler, first of all, and you're not a complete piece of shit. Like, that's like, you can infer those two very good things about that person just by them signing to Nebraska. So, yeah, high aura.
Hey, irrelevant.
Next up, Michigan. Now, oh my gosh. Michigan, honestly, just like their football team that 2023 year, they had a good run randomly out of nowhere and then just came back to being mid again. Like, these guys are supposed to be like really good and then they just end up not being good, like, ever. I have to put it in low aura. I'm sorry. You have so many good wrestlers coming back into the practice room. You have so much funding. Like, what have you done with it? And it just pisses me off. Fighting Illinois from Illinois. That's a tongue twister right there. But I think I would honestly put Illinois medium aura. You know, there's not a whole lot that I would detract from their school. They're not the hugest name. They don't like have the best results, but they are still a good school, and they have a couple good guys. The Bronagles, like, for example, they can produce talent on a pretty regular basis. So I'm very comfortable with putting them in the medium aura category. Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Now these guys, honestly, I'm fine with putting them really anywhere on this list. I'm very indifferent to them. They beat my Gophers last year, so I'm a little biased against them. But even then, I can't argue with the results. They beat us. They're capable of pulling off the upset. And the one thing I need to clarify about them as a difference between them and us is that we wrestle down to other schools' levels. Rutgers always wrestles up. They have a certain baseline. They don't lose to dog shit opponents. They can get it done, and they did, and I have a lot of respect for that. So I have no choice but to put him in the high aura category. What can I do, guys? Like, it just has to be.
Brother, who this guy? He don't have question. He just listen out.
Purdue has to be in the negative aura category. Like, I don't know. It's a school full of engineers, and you're not going to get a lot of wrestlers to begin with. Combine that with the fact that, like, it's only the second best D1 school in the state, and the first best isn't even like top 25 half the time. You're not exactly setting yourself up for success here, and I don't know. Every time I hear of Purdue, they're just getting beat on by some like no-name school. So, yeah, negative aura. And all honesty, a very similar story for Michigan State. I forget they exist half the time, and I'm half tempted to put them in the Northwestern tier for how irrelevant they are. I can't disrespect any school the way I do Northwestern. So, that being said, that is my list, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a different opinion or you have something to chew me out about in the comments, please put it down below. I read every single one. Thank you guys so much for your support. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. Share it with your friends. And with that being said, everybody have a good day. Peace.